Sorry, we were having some technical difficulties, but we're gonna get going now. So thank you for joining in to our Help Me Grow Facebook Live. We have a special Father's Day edition today. I'm Kylie and I work with Help Me Grow as the call center manager, and we're joined today by Patrick Ross and my husband Braden. And Braden and I are expecting our first child in October. We're excited about that. Patrick and his wife are expecting their third in September. So I met Patrick a little while ago and was explaining what Help Me Grow does and some of our services, and mentioned that we offer the postpartum depression screening called the Edinburgh screening. And he was super excited and grateful that we offered that because his wife struggled with postpartum depression after the birth of their first child. And he shared some of his experience and his perspective on it. And I thought it'd be great to have him on here to talk with Braden as an expectant father and to share some of his insights and things that he learned during that time. So Braden has a couple questions he wants to ask Patrick, so we'll just get going and turn the time over to you guys.
Awesome. Okay, so first question, Patrick, is what was your perception of postpartum depression before your wife struggled with that?
Well, to be honest with you, I didn't have any perception of postpartum depression.
You didn't even, you knew about it?
I heard the phrase, and I knew that Brooke Shields and Tom Cruise on Oprah thought about it one time. That's my limited perception. That was my limited perception or experience with postpartum depression, even the term. Obviously, as I was becoming, that we found out that we were pregnant, and my wife actually, prior to being pregnant, she always struggled with some anxiety issues, and her OBGYN had approached us, had talked to us about the possibilities of experiencing postpartum depression issues, and I was still that fight between Brooke Shields and Tom Cruise came to my mind, and so I had literally no expectations. The only thing that I expected was maybe my wife would feel a little bit sadder, a little bit gloomier, but I didn't know the specific effects, and I even know how it was different from normally diagnosed depression versus postpartum depression. I had no perception at all.
Yeah. Okay. And you kind of explained you didn't really know if you were to anticipate it because she did have some problems before with anxiety.
Yeah. So she had been struggling with anxiety or to control it, and she had been not experimenting. That's the wrong phrase. She had been prescribed some medications to help manage that. But there was no, to me at least, there was no obvious sign that it was coming.
Okay.
Like I had no knowledge that it was coming, because I don't know. As a dad, you're gonna probably you may experience this, with your wife as well. Your wife has this emotional as well as physical connection going on with the baby right now. You don't have that.
Yeah.
Like there's for sure. Pretty much your focus right now is focusing on her.
Yeah, getting ready to help her.
Yeah, exactly. You're trying to help her. Well, she's thinking about not herself at all. She's thinking about this alien growing inside.
For real,
right?
It's a little weird.
It's a little weird. So your entire focus of this 9 months has been focusing on her comfort.
Yeah.
And getting used to a pattern of what she's like when she's pregnant, because emotions change when you're pregnant. And she's thinking about this baby, 100%.
Yeah.
And then that's a kind of a jarring thing for you when all of a sudden, are you, oh, and you and you, baby.
Yeah.
Now,
right?
Right?
So it's like,
yeah, totally, I get it.
Yeah, cool. So with that, once you found that, first of all, how did you find out that she had postpartum, and what was that coming to that realization that she had it?
That was a scary story, and I'm gonna be completely honest with you. This was the scariest time in my entire life. I had been mugged as a missionary. I had, been in car accidents. I had been, my dad was a firefighter, so there was times where I knew Dad was at a big accident and I didn't think he was going to come home that night, or at all periods. So I'd been afraid. I'd been afraid before, but I'd never been afraid at this level. So when my son was born, it wasn't like it was an immediate thing. This all of a sudden she was fine and then postpartum depression happened. She wasn't. It was slowly coming to the realization that something is very, very wrong. So my son was born, and her comments about herself as a parent, as a mom, went from being, I don't know if I can do this, to I can't do this, to I'm not going to do this. And when it got to the point where she was saying, I'm not going to do this, my first reaction is, you're quitting on me now? We've gone through this whole time together, you're quitting on me? And then one day we took our son to his pediatrician's appointment. And the pediatrician was just doing some basic checks, asking some basic questions, and he asked the question how my wife was doing. And my wife gave a very, very negative response. I don't know what I don't remember what her response was. And the pediatrician just went on with the whole questions, exams, and whatnot. And the pediatrician just looked at me and said, "Out in the hallway." Okay. And he goes, "I think that something might be more wrong with your wife than just say traditional baby blues." And I had an inkling that something was wrong. And so what happened from there is he says, you probably will need to contact her OBGYN just to be safe. And I kind of put it out of my mind because I thought, okay, she'll tell me if she needs it, is what I thought. She'll tell me if she needs help. And then her mom started to notice this negative language coming out of my wife's mouth, her negative behavior, and how she was extremely melancholy. She was lacking in self-confidence. She was struggling with just coping with the fact that she was a mother. And my wife said, "You need to contact her OBGYN right now." So I called her. I called the OBGYN. And I told her what was going on. And she said, "Well, you need to keep a close eye on her. Keep a very close eye on her because you may need to take her to the hospital." And I thought, well, she's not hurt. She's not having, she's not passing out or fainting or whatever. I don't know why she need to go to the hospital. Yeah. So one day, as we were just interacting, we're upstairs and our room was downstairs at the time, and baby started crying. And, so she went to go downstairs, and all of a sudden my wife just has this panic attack as soon as she hears the baby screaming, and her equilibrium is thrown off. She can't see, she can't do it, she can't walk. And it's at that point I'm like, what is happening? What's going on? And as I'm trying to get her to calm down, my mother-in-law goes and gets the baby. I'm trying to get my wife to calm down because she's hyperventilating at this point. She's having a panic attack. And she looks at me and she says, "It would be so much better if I wasn't here." And that was the moment where I thought, oh my goodness. So I told my mother-in-law, "Listen, I need to get Gwen to the hospital." So my wife's name is Gwen. Gotta get Gwen to the hospital. And so we went to the hospital, and we couldn't have had a better ER doctor that was there. I'm not sure if he was trained in psychology or dealing with these kinds of issues before, but my wife's a very soft-spoken person and very, very closed off, and he was naturally soft-spoken and very gentle. And he just started asking her some questions, and he pulled me out in the hall and he says, there's a couple things going on. I think your wife is suffering from some serious postpartum depression issues, and there's one or two things that can happen right now. One, we can prescribe her something to calm her down and just get it filled with a prescription, and it's going to be a very short-term solution. Or we can get her checked into the hospital and have her stay overnight. And I'm like, why does she need to stay overnight? Why can't you just set an appointment with a therapist to get her, get some treatment? But he's like, you don't understand. If she's booked in overnight, she's going to be able to be fast-tracked and get the help that she needs quicker. Otherwise, she's not going to be able to get it for months.
Yeah.
And so I had a decision to make. Do I do I check my wife into the hospital and go against her will, what she wants, and take a risk of her being eternally mad at me and ruining our marriage, or do I just bring her home like she wants? So I made a decision. We're checking into the hospital. And as soon as that decision was made, tears. She didn't want to. She was embarrassed. She was sad that she was in this circumstance, and she just kept looking at me and saying, "Please don't do this. Please don't do this. Please don't do this." So I had another decision to make.
Man, that's so tough.
Do I do what she wants and make my marriage happy for right now, or do I risk ruining my entire marriage and perhaps the life of this little boy, and check her into the hospital, and for the potentially getting her the help that she really needs?
Yes.
And there are very few times in, like, I guess, a father or husband's life where he has to take control of the situation and take complete control. That was one of them. It was the first time I'd ever had to do it, and it was scary beyond belief because I decided to go into the hospital.
Yeah.
And it was at that point when when we checked her in and she went through those doors and those doors closed, I immediately thought, there goes my marriage. Done. But thankfully it didn't end that way. We're not.
Yeah.
You're on 3.
I mean, I'm sorry I got kind of deep on you there for a second, just telling my story, but it didn't end that way. She ended up getting the help that she needs, and we're struggling. It is now a part of our lives. You know, it's not like it goes away, you know, with the right medication.
Yeah.
It's now a part of our lives that we have to work through, that we have to plan for the potential of happening. And yeah, that was a very long way of answering.
No, thank you.
Sorry.
You actually kind of started answering my next question was, after those experiences and realizing what happened and how to take care of them a little bit. I mean, you never learn after one experience, but how did you react on the next child, and how do you plan to handle the situation with this one coming in September?
Well, the first one was rough. You know, the second time around, we realized that because every time there was a time during her pregnancies where she has to get off of the medication that she's prescribed because of some kind of risk, heart growth defects and stuff. It's not a big risk, but my wife's thought was why take the chance, and so we get off the medication for a little while, and at that point I'm in.
What's going to happen?
I'm in zero recon mode. You know what I mean? I am constantly hypervigilant, and throughout the term of the pregnancy, what I have to mentally come to grips with and prepare myself for is, for these next 9 months and probably a year, because recovery, let's be honest, is a long time.
Yeah.
You're going to have to forget completely about yourself. You're going to have to completely forget about going to the gym if you want to.
Yeah.
You're going to have to completely forget about eating what you want to. You're going to have to completely forget. It's already. You're going to have to completely forget about any personal time for yourself. You're going to have to completely forget about video games. You're going to have to completely forget about all that. And you're going to have to be hyper-focused and pay attention to your wife's words, or actions, or behaviors, and at the same time back her up with all the kids.
Yeah.
So you gotta man up and sacrifice that time for yourself in order to make things work.
So it's that personally, basically what you can do is sacrifice and be there. Do the things that she needs to get those things done. Because what's going on in your wife's mind right now isn't the fact that she's just sad. It's not a just sad thing. Yeah. What's happening, I'd say it like you're going through it. I don't know if you're going through it. But what was happening in my wife's head, it wasn't that she was sad. It wasn't that she was just afraid of being a mom. It was I can't be a mom. I'm not equipped for this. Yeah. I'm not programmed for this. And it's that thought in her head, and usually this will manifest itself, FYI. This will manifest itself in her latching on to something wrong. Yeah. For my wife, it was breastfeeding. If breastfeeding was the thing that triggered it all, she thought if breastfeeding didn't go right, that means he didn't eat right. If he didn't eat right, he didn't sleep right. If he didn't sleep right, he didn't have good brain development. If he didn't have good brain development, he was going to be handicapped. If he
was going to be handicapped, then that was going to mean us further strain on our entire lives as parents, and yada yada yada. Because women's brains aren't compartmentalized.
Nope.
No, it's
not.
one big giant ball of yarn that you got to sift through. If you pull one thread,
Who knows that very well.
Yeah, so I think I'm getting there.
You're getting there. But it's so, and if it wasn't breastfeeding, it would have been something else. And she's not just thinking about the fact that she can't breastfeed. Everything
depends on, like, almost depends on that.
Everything depends on it, or something else that is not the end of the world is completely outrageous. So if your wife is latching on to something, and not letting that one thing go that she thinks is wrong, that's a sign. If she's blowing up about little things, son's name is Anna. Anna woke up 15 minutes early from his nap. Cry fest. He didn't eat the last half an ounce of his bottle. Cry fest. He didn't roll over. He didn't burp as much as he should have. Therefore, he's going to have stomach problems. His stomach's going to blow up. He's going to die. Cry fest.
So you had said, like, your initial reaction when she was saying, "I can't do this" or "I don't want to do this," was like, "You're quitting?"
Yeah.
And when she was going through these things, like those little, like the things that would blow up, like, how were your reactions initially to that?
Initially, they were very different. They were initially it was like, I'm mad. Why? What does it matter? Was my big thing. I must have said that 10 times a day. What does it matter? It's okay. It's okay. Then it turned in. Then after realizing what was going on with my wife, it turned into It turned into when something like she'd latch onto something like that. It'd be what do you think it's going to affect? Let's just talk about it. What do you think is going to be the problem? Oh, okay. And that's all you got to do is just listen.
Yeah.
It's not don't solve it and don't cast it aside. Let's just talk about why you have that concern.
Well, I think I remember you when we talked about it a couple weeks ago. Is you were just talking about once you figured it out. When she latched, you were like jumping up and down, like just so happy,
totally.
Like just like this is the best thing that ever happened.
So like that's the other thing. That's the other thing that you got to do. Like if the thing that she's latching onto is the fact that he's supposed to sleep from 2 o'clock to 3:15. If he wakes up at 3:15 on the dot or 3:16, you are ecstatic about it. See, I told you could sleep train. I told you could do it, and that's because of you. You did that. I didn't do that. I'm just sitting here watching. You did that.
Yeah.
Way to go. Way to go. High five it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Make a big deal about it. Unfortunately, what's happening in your wife's brain when postpartum depression happens is there's just chemical imbalances that are happening that are not allowing her to think clearly.
Yeah.
And you can't produce those chemicals for her.
Yeah.
You can't suppress those chemicals for her. What you can do is create an environment for that. What you have to do is create a positive environment or positively healthy environment, so that when she does get on the proper kinds of medication that she needs or proper kinds of therapy that she needs, it's an environment in which that therapy or medication is allowed to be successful.
Yeah. So to kind of wrap up, would that be your biggest piece of advice, like to me or future fathers, like creating that environment, being there emotionally for them so that medication and those other things can help? Is that what you would say, or what?
Yeah, that is my biggest piece. That is my biggest piece of advice, because like we live in a very modern age.
Yeah.
We, as fathers, as husbands, we don't need to protect our families from mountain lions and bears in the wilderness anymore.
Yeah.
We don't need to do that. But that hunter protector, those qualities of being a protector, nothing's changed. The only thing that's changed is the enemy.
Yeah.
What is the enemy now? The enemy is false ideals displayed on social media of what motherhood should be.
Yeah.
That your wife is going to constantly compare herself to and feel like a failure because she's not that.
Yeah.
The arrows, the enemies now are not bears, they're social media. They're not lions, they are pornography. They're not the wilderness and elements anymore.
Yeah.
other types of forms of
mental illness.
Their mental illness, exactly. And so your job hasn't changed really. It's just what you're protecting her from has changed.
And how you're
exactly.
Yeah, how you
so your way of being aggressive towards something that you have to protect her from. Be aggressive. Like if you're not be aggressive, but be firm in the fact that she's doing a great job.
Yeah.
Now she's not even concerned about if she's good enough for you. She's not concerned about that right now.
It's about the baby.
It's about the baby.
Yeah.
So you have to. So don't. It doesn't help her if you say something like, "You're doing great. I think you're doing wonderful." Well, that's your opinion. What about everybody else's opinion that I'm most concerned about?
Yeah.
But what you have to say is, look how healthy the baby is. Look how he's developing. Look how he or she is developing. Look how all of this is. Look how big they're growing, how fast they're growing. And sweetheart, that's all because of you. You're doing such a good job. I'm in awe.
Yeah.
I'm in awe of you as a mother, and I can't wait for you to have more. Do this again. So just create a positive environment. Create a positive environment.
Awesome. I think that's really important. Like just making them feel comfortable and realizing that they're doing good.
Yeah.
Like, they're doing better than they think they are.
Yeah. Exactly.
And I think through your experience, you learned, what works for you and your wife, and how you can handle it. And I think something that's really important for fathers to know about is the fact that postpartum depression is a real thing, and how it is different, and that your support in getting her help is going to be greater than anything else, because as you learned, she most likely wasn't going to reach out for help herself. And so having that support system, I think, with you and her mom and the others that were around is so essential and so important. So thank you so much for sharing your experience.
No problem.
I think that was helpful.
Yeah, it was
Hopefully
helpful for me.
now
Hopefully helpful for you
prepared
guys out there.
You're
for
gonna do good.
October.
Thanks. You're gonna do
But
good.
just a reminder that with Help Me Grow Utah, the screening for postpartum depression can be taken during pregnancy and also after. We offer it as frequently as you want to take it, and it's free. So if you feel like you would like to check in on how your mental well-being is at this time, you can take that through our program. Our website is helpmegrowutah.org. You can also call 211 and ask for Help Me Grow, and you'll be connected with a parent support specialist who will follow up with you to make sure you're receiving the support and help you need. We also do our best to find resources that would be helpful for you and information to prepare you for the changes that happen during and after childbirth, and just general support for your child's development as well. So if that's something you're interested in, feel free to contact us. And if you have any other comments or questions, put them in the comment box, and we'll do our best to answer those later. But thank you to Patrick and Brayden for being with us, and for all of you for tuning in. Thanks.